We're
What?
back.
I couldn't even remember. What are we down on number four at this point?
Yeah,
I can't believe we're doing it.
I know. I'm so proud of us. And we're recording on a Saturday, which we never do.
I know.
And there's nothing that I have wanted to do more than just do this and not have to deal with children for an hour. So this is perfect.
And what are they doing right now? Gotta know.
Napping and watching a show, but Ruby is in that phase, speaking of Little Sleep When We're Dead, where she's a really early climb out of cribber. And now we work at about an hour. We work for an hour just to get her to nap, for baby an hour.
No.
Yeah, we forget how wonderful cribs are because cribs are contained. Like she wants to play and do all of that, which you can do in your crib, but when you
Yeah.
have your room and you know how to open your door, and then she has to
Uh,
go to the bathroom because she's potty trained. And so it's just
no.
like, I mean, there's days when 2 out of the 3 aren't napping that after like 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, just come out. There's no point in me. Like, yeah, it's a real bummer. It's a real bummer
Well,
state.
I mean, I feel that deeply because Piper desperately needed a nap. The drama
Mhm.
was so real. And yet I heard her in here right before I closed the door and she's just playing away. Like, I don't know
Yeah,
that she's actually going to sleep, but she's in a crib. And so,
right,
and has
right.
no concept of how to get out of there. So, well, I'm excited about our topic today.
I know, I know. I wanted to say something though, also before we talk about our topic
Okay.
about we'll sleep when we're dead.
Okay.
And I think that the whole concept of this podcast is very exciting to me. It's also very exciting to do something with your best friend. But I don't know, like, where we're on, like, you and I have two different social media algorithms, like,
Oh, totally.
totally two
But
different.
as in my line of work, just I love because I love hearing what you're getting. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about wherever you're taking this.
I just feel like maybe in New York City, it's just like constant chatter about working, stay home, never enough
Yeah,
time. I want to work from home. But I feel like on my social media, there is like a lot of wanting to pin working and staying home moms like against each
against
other.
each other. Interesting.
And it's really fascinating, but also really sad and frustrating that like those same women, I hope, would be like
Yeah,
women, like go women, do what you want. And
right.
then there's just this constant, what I see is like one woman says it's not hard, another woman says it's hard. So then another woman will be like, two stay-at-home moms will be like, how rude of you to say this isn't hard, this is work. And another mom's like, this isn't work, this is what we're supposed to like. There's just like a lot of chatter. And I just feel one, I'm not happy about the chatter, but
Right.
because I just wish that we could be so. I wish that we could be like, you think being a stay at home mom is hard? Like, that's great for you. Because I think, I don't think running a mile is hard, but some people think running a mile is hard. Like, I just don't know
Yeah,
why we have to like say
yeah,
it's not hard. If somebody thinks it's hard, somebody thinks it's hard. I don't know. But I just think it's so interesting that it's also, I mean, maybe that chatter has been going on forever, but when we're trying to like really talk about it. And I just feel like
yeah,
I love this idea of a podcast, but I want to make sure that it's always like in no way are we trying to be like one versus the other. We're just like so
totally.
intrigued by like how we both can do it and why we're doing it and what
Yeah,
keeps us going. And there's so many times when I'm envious of yours, but not. And so I just think, I don't know. I just sometimes wish those people would be a little bit more open minded. And I hope that this like allows people to be like, oh, wow, this is what she's going through, or oh, this is how you work and do it all, or whatever. And
yeah.
I don't know. It's just so interesting to me.
It is interesting because I never see that. I'm not down the algorithm on that at all. So I would be very curious what side I would be given if I was ever, and probably now, my phone's right here. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
be getting that
Yeah.
algorithm by the end of today. But yeah, I think like the cool thing about us trying to talk about this is also the shared experience here is the fact that we are moms.
Hmm.
And everyone who is a mom shares that experience, but the lens at which you are filtering different experiences with that are so different. And that's
Hmm.
why, like, I think some of the specific topics you and I have picked have been specific because we're like, wow, you have to deal with that in a totally unique way than I do.
Hmm.
And one is not better or worse than the other. I feel like
Hmm.
that's the thing that's so interesting about all of it.
Hmm.
It's just different.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
and it
I don't think like making a big to do about like one is so hard, one is not hard
hmm
makes any sense. And it
I
doesn't
know.
feel encouraging or positive or
Right.
anything uplifting for like the shared experience that we're all trying to get through in like a really positive way.
Totally. Women have so much pressure to feel like what they're doing is the best and right decision. And it's just, I think that we're just always looking for somebody to like be like, oh, it's hard for you. Thank God it's hard for me. Or, oh, you're not with your kids very often. Thank God. No, I'm not. And
Yeah.
it's just, we spend so much energy talking about it.
Well, and I think the interesting thing that I've started to process now that the kids are starting to get a little older is that I I keep thinking about it from the context of this will get easier when the kids are older and can do more things on their own, or
Mm-hmm.
where 20% of my Saturday is not spent dealing with a temper tantrum or a dramatic incident of like, he did this, she did this, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Da. However, I think I'm like, this actually might be the easiest time because Kev and I were talking about this week in the context of like, the minute you start incorporating after school activities,
Mm-hmm.
sports, plays, this person has to be here, this person has to be there. We were talking about it this week and we were like, who then is driving them to all those
Mm-hmm.
places?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how
Mm-hmm.
do we navigate that? Like, at this point, it's like at least they're here majority of
Right.
the time. And it's
Right.
relatively, I mean, it's not easy, and we'll talk about childcare at some point, but like,
Yeah.
we've been able to find someone that can accommodate that. I'm like, that becomes a totally different ball game at
Mm-hmm.
that stage. And
Mm-hmm.
when they can actually miss you and they can actually think through like how
Mm-hmm.
much you've been gone or things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature. Like, I'm just curious how that will impact how I feel about traveling for work or
Yeah.
being gone for whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I
So
think it's so
interesting.
interesting because I'm like, I in my head have mentally been like, well, I'm working now. I made the conscious choice to work now and not stay at home, and that will get easier later. And I feel like that just will never get
No.
easier.
No. No. I mean, mine, speaking of one versus the other, will be because
Yeah.
I will, for once in my life, have 8 to 3 by myself, and I've never had that. And then you like ramp up for the 3 to 9
Yeah.
o'clock, but I will have that time. For you guys, it's a totally different ballgame. Like you don't get the like, okay, kids are asleep by 6:37 every single night. It's like, no, you're gonna be like game, practice, this, that
Right.
until like 9 every single night,
Yeah.
on top of working until 5 every day. Yeah, it's
Yeah. So anyways,
crazy.
that's neither here nor there. That's just something that I'm like, oh, I need to like remind myself this is not, yeah, it's not going to get a lot easier. So our conversation this week I picked, and it's one that's near and dear to my heart. And the more I've thought about it, the more I'm excited to like get your perspective and layer on your experience with it. So it's this idea of how does one go about forming and or keeping adult friendships. And our girl Mel, just if we haven't talked about her yet, we're probably going to talk about her 300 times over the course of this podcast because she's been so influential. And our girl Mel, we mean Mel Robbins, the great
Hmm.
Mel Robbins.
Hmm.
Sam and I have both read, Sam's read the whole thing. I'm still working through it, but the Let Them Theory book. And the chapter that was most resonant with me this week was this idea of forming adult friendships. And we had already put it on our list of topics that we wanted to cover for this. But essentially, I felt like I would just kind of give the premise so that we
Hmm.
could kind of react to it. So her premise is that adult friendships are built on 3 pillars. One is proximity, one is time, and one is energy. Proximity is defined as truly being close to
Close. Yeah.
someone in terms of distance, so your neighbor, whatever. Time is like more like season of life. So
Hmm.
we're in the same season of life right now as it
Hmm.
comes to being with kids. I'm not necessarily in that with a lot of my coworkers. And then the third is energy. And I think energy, quite honestly, is a topic she probably could have spent 4 chapters on
Oh
because
my
I think
gosh.
it can be defined so many different ways. And honestly, I kind of wish she had spent more time on it. But just like broadly, this idea of friendships can hinge on whether or not you have the energy to put into it,
Hmm.
your friend has the energy to put on into it, what are the external forces that may or may not be impacting someone's energy. And I liked some of
Hmm.
her examples, which are like, you're dealing with a health crisis, you're dealing with a really tough season of work, you're dealing with an aging parent, you're dealing, all those
Hmm.
different things that might impact it. So it was just like, not that I didn't know all of this inherently, but it was just so interesting and helpful for me to like frame up a lot of, I would say, like seasonal friendships that I've had.
Hmm.
And I think the perfect thing for us, because I've thought about so much, like we've always pretty much been in the same like period of time, like our seasons of our lives. we've literally never had proximity since college. So
Mm-mm.
we've had, for sure one of the pillars locked in, which is season of life, but the other one is just truly like
Mhm.
energy that we've put towards
Mhm.
each other and our friendship despite all the external
Mhm.
factors. So yeah, I think like as a jumping off point, I'm just curious as you think about how you've cultivated friendships. I think when I was thinking about this prompt, I was thinking about it from the context of like, okay, when I if it's really a when, but if I have an extra hour in a week, where am I going to put it?
Mhm.
And it's really hard for me because mom guilt, which we actually haven't spent a lot of time on, but we probably should. That could be a new segue for our next episode. But
Mhm.
mom guilt always creeps up for me, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I need to spend that with my kids.
Mhm.
So it then becomes like the energy of putting anything towards a friendship, whether it's a best friend that's far away or whether it's starting to form a new one, can be really hard to
Mhm.
harness. So
Mhm.
I'm just like I'm curious with that in mind, like how did you react to that chapter when you read it? How do you think about your extra hour in a week and where you spend that time?
Okay, so it's so funny. The moment that I finished that chapter, I think she missed one pillar in my opinion. I don't think there's anything more special than like a long-term childhood friend.
Yeah.
Like there's something about it. So you and I, you're the closest thing to me of my longest term friend. I have two others, Heather and Alyssa, that I have known. Well, Alyssa and I were born 7 days apart, and our moms babysat us as like twins. So I've actually
Yeah.
known her my whole life. But Heather was like a middle school friend and then just turned college friend, or we all turned high school friend, middle school, college. And we have been through, we've never had proximity either. I moved away to IU, whatever. All that to say, I immediately voice memoed them and was like, guys, we don't have any of these pillars. And we have like maintained our friendship. Like
Yeah.
Heather had a baby at 24. I was off in San Francisco. Alyssa, there were moments when we weren't really talking very well, unfortunately. But like, there was just something about like a deep connection that after like 2 years of me potentially kind of being like, whatever, I live in San Francisco, I don't need to talk. But I will say, like, every time I came home for Christmas, once a year, I saw them, and that was good enough for them.
Yeah.
Where I feel like as an adult making new friends, that for me has been a whole other ballgame because that's not good enough to make a friendship once every 4 months. And
Yeah.
then there's this like pressure. So I will say for my energy, if we're not going to like just in general, number one is working out. If I had 1 hour, like that trumps everything. But I was actually thinking about this too with the difference of our lives. If we're going to like continue to always
Yeah.
like look at that, I I have 100% made this top priority. I've moved a lot. So, but when I look back, my best friends outside of the ones that I've made throughout childhood
Yeah.
and you are 100% stay at home moms because this is one thing where we actually have more time than you.
Mhm.
Because I'm able to be like, hey, at drop off, I only have an hour until the next activity. There's no sense in going home and starting laundry and doing this. So then I'll look at a mom and be like, you want to go get coffee? And the more I do that, but like that has been such an intentional piece, especially moving to New York. I've been the most intentional where I'll sometimes look at my calendar on a Sunday and I'll be like, okay, so there's dance here, Isla's here. Okay, Thursday morning I have 2 hours. I'm going to reach out to three people and see if they want to get coffee with me. I don't think a lot of, I mean, I kind of have gotten over this, but like not a lot of people are reaching out to me because people don't love to reach out and people are like,
Mhm.
people have their families and their friendships, but like I'm the new girl that I'm just like, we gonna get coffee. And so I've really been able to do that with like moms that don't work and one mom that has a very flexible work from home job. And I kind of just shoot some hours at her. But like it's 100% energy that I have to put into
Yeah.
that and season of life. All the other working moms, as I drop off, they're like sprinting to the train. There's
Yeah.
no time for me. And so yeah, I feel like 1 hour. Okay, what's really hard is side note, which is another topic. We're going to start putting it on the list. My husband travels an insane amount for work. So Saturdays and Sundays have really become like family time.
Mhm.
That like that's another thing about being a stay-at-home mom. Like if I don't see these friends Monday through Friday, I like don't really see them. It's almost
Yeah.
reverse
Yeah.
where like
Totally.
a lot of my stay-at-home mom friends in Charlotte where I've made like the most, which I can get into how I did that. It would be really funny. Like sometimes Friday we would joke like, "See you next week," because we just kind of knew we would all like go do family stuff on the weekends because
Right.
we would see each other so much.
Yeah.
And now it's changing a little bit because Kyle and I are trying to find like couple friends, which is really hard. But like, so an extra hour on the weekends, I'm going to choose Kyle because I'm
Right.
never with him. I don't have mom guilt because I'm with my kids all the time.
Yeah.
So I will choose a glass of wine on a Wednesday night if a mom ever reached out to me because I don't have that guilt because I'm with my
Right.
kids all of the time.
Totally.
But in terms of just like basic energy, the amount that because having friends is so important to me as a mom, especially because
Yeah.
I'm so scared of being lonely at home all day by myself. It is like high topic for me. Like, what's the
Hmm.
schedule for the day? And like, do I have one or two things on my social calendar? And that means literally a coffee with a friend. That's like the socialness of my life. I don't
Yeah.
remember the last time I had a glass of wine because, again, all these moms that I'm friends with, by 3 or 4 o'clock, their kids are home from school. It's like,
Yeah.
see you
See
tomorrow.
ya
Like,
never.
yeah,
Totally.
if you don't hear from me, it's 3 o'clock. You will not hear from me after 3 o'clock because that's when my kids come home. So yeah, it's really interesting the energy because it's exhausting.
Well, what was not encouraging in that in that whole section from Mel was the research that
Mm-hmm.
said it takes 240 hours to develop like of togetherness time to develop a close friend.
Mm-hmm.
And her point was like, that's so easy to make in high school when you're on a team or college when
Mm-hmm.
we were living in a sorority and we were always together. That is not easy with 30 minutes at a drop off or
No.
a 45-minute soccer practice on a Tuesday night, whatever the
Mm-mm.
case may be. And I'm like, I feel like I typically look at research like that to be like encouraged, like, okay, like this is achievable or only takes X. And I look at that and I'm like, when am I going to find 240 additional hours of energy to make a new
Right.
friend?
Right. For an example, I did not want to do this gymnastics class on a Tuesday. It's a mile away. I was going to have to walk a mile there, walk a mile home. But in my head, I thought, you know what? We don't have anything on Tuesday afternoons. I actually really like this mom. Let's do it. We walk the mile together. We talk. We do the gymnastics. We talk. And it's almost an hour every single Tuesday that we get after. And sometimes now that's all we get, but that's enough for me to feel like I can text her something on a Tuesday or Thursday because like with you and all my other friends, of course I can text. But with a new
Right.
friend, it's weird. It's like,
Totally.
are they going to respond? Are they going to think it's truly like dating.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
exhausting. And it's like, I've put other things, I've like been like, I don't really want to do this, but I want to try to make this a friendship. So I guess I'm going to put my energy into it. And the annoying part is sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you're like, I don't really love that person,
Yeah.
but
It's so,
it's so essential to me being a stay-at-home mom that I like really do. I I don't envy you thinking about your time because a lot of my things that I have to do to keep my household running that you still do as a working mom, I can kind of push around. Like, I don't have to do
yeah.
laundry today, where you would leave school drop off being like, I have 10 meetings. I can't just
Yeah.
push these.
Right.
Or I can be like, oh, I won't grocery shop today. I'd rather try to get coffee with a friend and try to make this friend.
I'm curious as you think about like friendships you've had that you wouldn't necessarily say you have anymore, or you just haven't kept in touch, or whatever the case may be. What has that primarily been? Like, which of the pillars do you feel like has impacted that the most?
Sadly, I think energy.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't know how okay, so like I've moved a lot and I've been like all up in people's faces, be my friend, be my friend. And then I've kind of been, whoa, too fast, Sam. You don't want to be friends with all these people. Because I really only need like 2 or 3 good friends. If I'm going to cultivate and like love on 2 or 3 friends each day by responding to texts, I'm going to pick the ones that are like reciprocal. I think I'm a special case, which I think would be interesting for you because you've lived in different places.
Yeah.
But proximity for me has always been my least favorite. Like it's been the worst pillar for me because I'm constantly moving.
I know, and that's why like your response is actually surprising to me. I would have thought you would have said proximity was the reason that you lost
Yeah.
friendships along the way. But that doesn't sound like it's the case because you have maintained the ones that you wanted to with energy.
Yeah, I really have. And I feel
Like
like,
even your California, like your San Francisco friends, I feel like you're still friends with.
I mean, one of them, I Marco Polo 2 to 3 times a week. That's so much energy. Like as I'm walking to school, I'm like, okay, I've texted Lucy back. I've texted this person. I need to Marco. I Marco one person. We were going to move to San Francisco or away from San Francisco. I was like, I don't want to move because I don't want to have to make new friends because these friends are just, there's like nothing. It was the first time that I've had to make good adult friends. And when you
Yeah.
have them, and Kyle liked their husbands. So, like, are we that close anymore? No. But do we do 1 or 2 phone calls a year? So I still consider that to be like a good friend, in my
Yeah.
opinion, because we're like still texting. And I remember when I lived in Pittsburgh, this friend told me that she was coming to Washington, D.C., which is a 4 hour drive. Speaking of energy, it was
Hmm.
a 4 hour drive from me from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C. I took the entire family. I was pregnant with Ruby. So I made Kyle and my 2 little girls. We drove 4 hours. We spent a dinner with this family, spent the night in a hotel, and drove 4 hours home. And even the person that was with us, that I was like, no, I didn't know it was her cousin. She was like, wow, you must be a good friend. I'm like, yeah, I'll do anything for good friends. Like, that's just
Yeah.
like so important to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really do think energy.
Yeah. That is so, because I think mine is like proximity. Like
Yeah.
I think it is totally, it, it is proximity mixed with like season of life. I think is mine is more so that than anything, it feels like, because if I think about like periods of life, like when I was in business school,
Mm-hmm.
like I had so many amazing friends in business school. And yes, like I will similarly, talk to them once a year or something like that. But I feel like I get really deep in those moments.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then it just ends up becoming not as close based on like moving on to the next season,
Yeah.
which
And
I
I,
which is sad to me, but then I mean, it's just kind of is how it is. And I obviously a big part of that is also energy, but it's like, I don't know. It's a that one has just been one I've now processed a lot ever since
mhm.
reading that and us having these
Well, okay. So here's a
discussions.
question though, because this is kind of why I do this. Do you ever feel lonely?
I don't really, because I
Yeah.
think the thing that I was thinking about when you were talking about multitasking, I just got a text from Kevin that said we're on our way to Target for our Target pickup order that I did right before they left. I actually think that's a very real moment for the pod to be like, you know what, we're still moms and we're still out here trying to manage the household whilst doing all the things. So anyways, I don't really feel lonely. And I think so much of that is because all day long I'm talking to people. Like from the minute, it's like the kids and then it's on calls all day long, every single day. The only days I can kind of feel lonely is days where I have less meetings,
Yeah.
which is so crazy. And it's been interesting to me because thinking about this like period of time thing, most of the people that I have worked with in my career have not been in my stage of life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
especially now that I'm managing a lot younger people, they're like still out there just going out on the weekends. And like all these I'm learning about bogs. I don't know if you know about bogs. Do you know about these?
What's that?
I hope I'm saying the right thing, but it's now the thing like on St. Patty's Day, if you went down to the river afterwards, there's like milk jugs that kids apparently in an effort to be more sanitary will like just fill the milk jugs with whatever drink of choice it is all day, and then they just throw the milk jug away when they're done with it. I, I'm gonna fact check myself before we release this podcast to make sure I'm right. But anyways, all this to say, they may not be in my season of life, and we may be friendly, and it's not like a close friend by any means, but
Yeah.
it is someone that I am in constant contact with and
Yeah.
know pretty well, at least from a work perspective. So
Yeah, because you also work from home, which I feel like we maybe mentioned that, but
yeah,
because like you also don't, because you're such a people person, but you don't get, I mean, you work in the office, what, like
a couple of days a month.
40% of your month?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you get that people interaction, but you really are talking with people. Because I think the best way for me to describe why I've done it is a sense of like me trying to control my world,
yeah.
because I've learned from so many moves and having a husband who's not home really ever. Like Pittsburgh was the darkest moments when I remember being like, I've not done anything with anybody and I don't even have a
It's hard.
husband. Yeah, I don't even have a husband to like catch up with at 6 o'clock at night. I'm just alone again. And I think I just was like, this can't work. And so it's been a lot of energy. But I just fear the lonely days of being a stay-at-home mom so much that it's worth so much energy to try to get somebody to have coffee with me just to make myself not feel lonely. Where like if
Which
you're not
that's so funny because literally, I don't know, this may be one of the dumbest things I've ever said, or it may be one of like the biggest light bulbs. And like, I actually don't have to put in any energy for the day-to-day relationships that I have when it comes to work
Mhm.
because they are required.
Yeah.
They're
I
like a part of being a successful business is like you have to talk to people.
Mhm.
And so, and that fills me up to the point where like at the end of the day, I don't really have anything left in the tank. Like I don't have a lot to go have a glass of wine with a friend,
Mhm.
but I
Mhm.
haven't had to like put in energy to forming a friendship. Whereas you are
Mhm.
like, because I have the proximity and the time, like, like the proximity piece for me with work is like constant. You literally are putting in energy all day long.
All day. Yeah.
And that drains my energy just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's exhausting. I will say that. I feel like I would love to know, maybe we could have a guest on, like we say, that has my experience as a stay-at-home mom that has lived in the same town or city, who has really easy friendships, because I'm a special case where I have had to work so hard every 2 years, and I'm really proud of what I've been able to do because the fact that I have any friends and
Yeah.
is like, but that's, I mean, I have friends, but I don't have a career. There's other things that I don't have. Like it's 100% energy for me.
Yeah.
But it's funny because, like, the only way I made those Charlotte mom friends was because I went to a story time that I did not want to go to. And when the librarian was like, "Who's the first timer new here?" I did not want to raise my hand, but I did. And then I said my daughter's name was Isla. And if I wouldn't have done that, then Juliana, my friend, would not have come up to me and been like, "Oh my gosh, my niece is or Isla." She started chatting. She put me on a text chain. All these play dates I went to based off of a text chain. I didn't know anybody in the text
Yeah.
chain, but they would be like, "We're meeting up for ice cream." I would just show up. I mean, literally,
You put
it's
everything out there.
exhausting just thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's either that or stay at home by myself in a city where
Yeah.
I know nobody with my 18-month-old daughter all day long with a traveling husband. Like, so yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
I can agree. I can understand when stay at home moms are really lonely, but I feel like that energy, I can say this, my house is not the most decorated, beautiful house. I don't have energy into doing that. It's clean, but it's not like I'm not putting that energy into like organizing every cabinet. To me, I'd rather put energy into friendships than do that. So I guess I am choosing other stay-at-home mom tasks that you would think I'm doing simply to try to make friends.
Man.
It's hard.
I will say though, I think that this conversation and just reading that chapter of the book and just like reflecting on my current life, I would love to have more friends on the proximity piece. Like I have amazing long-term friends. We have a couple of great like family friends. But I would love to have like a couple more where it's like, hey, I'm just gonna call this person and see. Because part of that is like me then having to put myself out there and me having to do something outside of just my family and work. Because I mean, I will be the first to admit I've like lost a little bit of my sense of personal self,
Yeah.
you
You
know?
are you are definitely one of the most hardest working friends I have in terms of your career that can immediately switch in being like the most intentional mom. Like you don't really
It's
give
such
yourself,
so nice.
well, you are. You don't give yourself a lot of alone time. And so you're not even doing that. So then to put energy into friends, like you are, when you're working. And then when you're a mom, I mean, you're taking the kids to the restaurants, you're traveling with your kids, you're just really there with your kids,
Yeah.
where like a lot of people would be like Saturdays and Sundays, they might like spend a little time with their kids, but then they might go do the glass of wine with friends. But you are really in this stage, which is going to be great for them. You are really intentional. So something's got to give.
Yep.
Something's got
Well,
to
it's
give.
probably not gonna give today. Hey, we're doing this though. This is yet again, we keep going back to this is a big thing for ourselves, which
Yeah. And
is
not a
really
lot of,
fun.
yeah. I mean, you work really, really hard then to add this to your list, but it's worth it.
It's so worth it. I've been on board since day one. I would love to revisit this one and add on another perspective.
Mhm.
I think I love the idea of finding someone that has been a stay-at-home mom or even or and a working mom who haven't moved around. Like
Hmm.
they've been settled in their
Hmm.
one place for a really long time.
I feel like I could probably find some in New York for sure. So many people here have lived here since they were post college and they're working. And I bet, like, yeah, to hear their perspective.
I've DM'd a few people on Instagram and TikTok that I'm like, maybe they could be guests at some point, but they haven't gotten back to me yet. So more to come.
That's why we need you in this podcast relationship.
More to come. I'm just like, hey, my best friend and I have started this podcast and we thought you might be an interesting guest.
Oh my gosh, you are the absolute best.
That's my job, so I'm working on it. I don't really want to do the what have you done for yourself lately because I had the horrific realization that I can't think of one thing.
Okay, are you loving a product? You're always loving a product. I'll do the for me.
Yeah, why don't you go first and then
I'm the what I've done for myself.
either one. Yeah. What have you done for yourself?
Well, this is one thing we'll learn about me on the podcast. I have a pretty okay time doing things for myself because
We're gonna start changing it. And you're gonna be doing this question every single week because I will have nothing.
I gave Kyle total, Emily Oster calls it total transfer of responsibility.
Okay.
And he has been given total transfer of responsibility of Saturday swim lessons.
Okay.
So
You don't plan anything, you don't tell him anything, you don't pack a bag.
I pack a bag because it's new. I've
Okay.
done this for 3 weeks now, but a couple Saturdays ago, I was doing the whole thing and I was fighting with them there. And I was just like, why am I doing this? It's a Saturday.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point of that is I got away. I treated myself to berries. When I got home, there was 5 minutes left until he had to leave for swim, and then he left for swim. And I had Isla at home, but I had 1 hour with Isla, who was just reading Harry Potter the whole time. And it was,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was a great way to end 5 days of solo parenting 3 kids to just be like, this is what I'm going to do.
Okay, my challenge for you is like total transfer of responsibility. He better pack that bag next week.
Agreed. I packed the bag and the snacks, but I agree with you. We're baby steps. When I read that from Emily Oster, I was like, wow. Like she was like, you could give your husband dentist appointments. I'm like, the kids would never go to the dentist. But
Yeah,
like
their teeth will be falling out in a couple
it's a
years, but
powerful concept. So I want to start small and it's swim is his. Every Saturday, walks them there, does the fight, gets in the pool, whatever, walks them home, and I don't do it.
I love it. Okay, what am I loving? So I feel like back to the seasons. I feel like almost no one has more seasons of life than I do. I just go in and out. But I'm back into my Audible book season. And I don't really have like I have a couple of different ones that I've had and not finished, but I'm like just back into the process of like once the kids go down, stick my those over the ear ones, really do something to like make you focus. I got the totally cheap off-brand ones to make sure I liked them. But just like doing that in the evenings or back on my post kids going to bed walk game,
Oh,
which
because it's
is
nice out
so lovely. So
by yourself with
by
the pot with
myself with
yeah,
a book.
which is so interesting because I cannot listen to audiobooks and you don't listen to podcasts,
I
but you
know.
listen to so many audiobooks.
The audiobooks and I took a couple months off and then I was like, oh, I need to get back in it. And it's been really
That's a good one.
nice.
Audible. That's something you're loving.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Hey.
Well, have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.